just by looking at the case of this game, you might not think it's actually a game. This is a weird sort of, almost like a tech demo sort of game. And it's a game that I had on my to-buy list. Not really a list, but just games that I'd played on emulators when I first got my PC that I thought one day I'd like to have a real copy of that game. And eventually I did get a copy of it. But it almost looks like a computer encyclopedia sort of thing. So it's an Amstrad CPC game. It's a disc game. And if you didn't have the instruction manual, you might not be able to load it because you don't load it up in the normal way. And I'll show you what I mean here. Let's go over to the actual recording. So if you type run disk, this happens. Eventually. Drive a read fail. So you might think that you've got a bad disk. But now if you type bar CPM, then it loads up just fine. So yeah, you have to set the controls manually to joystick. And you can change a few other things. The volume. You can change the speed of the cursor as well, I think. And there's even a level editor. And some really good music. I think that was a French person saying get ready, but it was very scratchy. Yeah, so the game, you have a ball that moves down a corridor in 3D, and if you hold down the fire button, then you will start moving down the corridor. And you've got this paddle, so when the ball eventually comes back into view, you just have to stop it going past you. There we go. It doesn't move automatically, you do have to hold down the fire button. And you've got these floating collectibles as well. And I think sometimes the 3D works really well in this. And it's quite unusual to see something in 3D on a 8-bit home computer. And it moves fast enough. It does slow down a little bit at times. Yeah, it's going pretty slow at the moment, isn't it? Now, I believe this was made by French people. The reason that's significant is because the Amstrad was pretty popular in France. It was completely different market to the UK, where they almost never had budget games, and they weren't dominated by movie licenses either. So you'd get games like this made, and they're almost always disc games as well. God, I don't know how I got out of that one. I've got a kind of weird power up here where I've got a copycat paddle. I have noticed though the cursors do sort of snap into position sometimes, and it can help you, but it can also hinder you at times. I think I'm doing quite well here. I've only lost one life. I hope that opens again. I don't want to be stuck behind that. I don't know how long this game is, but eventually the palette does change and the music changes, which we'll get to eventually. Some of these power-ups are really very useful because some of them actually just match the position of the ball for you. So if you're not very good at this game, you can still make quite good progress by collecting the power-ups. So you can see there that other one just follows the ball. Although the downside to that is that it can follow the ball into a position where it's stuck behind something. You just have to wait it out. This is nice though, I like playing this. It's quite unique really. I don't think there's anything else I've played that's like this. I don't think this was made originally for the Amstrad. Like quite a lot of Amstrad games, it was available on a lot of different systems. It could have been made for the Amstrad first. But I know it's one of them that's on the Amiga, Atari ST, ZX Spectrum, Commodore 64, probably on the PC as well. Oh, I think that was an end of level boss. Okay, so the music's changed. On to level 5. Yeah, it does get very slow when there's these places where it shows you the score. Oh god, I'm in trouble here. That power-up was getting in the way. The last video I did was a Commodore 64 game with some really good music. And sometimes you might be listening to something on the Commodore 64 and think, you know, wow, this is miles ahead of other 8-bit machines. But then you play something like this and you think, no, actually people can make some, well, people did make some really good music on other machines. But I think there's just so many people out there that only have experience with consoles. And they're really missing out, you know. If you search for say a top 20 8-bit music video on YouTube, I guarantee that almost all of them will just be NES games. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, this is available for a lot of different systems, and I now have a copy of this for the Sam Coupé, which was never released commercially because they just decided that it wasn't viable. So I'll include a little video of it here. And I get the feeling this is heavily based on the ZX Spectrum version. This scaling writing does seem to be a little bit faster, doesn't it? Copyright 1990, which is actually the year the Sam Coupé came out, so I guess some companies dabbled in making Sam Coupé games. Alright, here we go. No speech. I think this is a bigger screen than the Amstrad version, and it's definitely moving faster. The music's a little bit different too. I mean, that's just the way things were back then. Games just released on dozens and dozens of different systems. Yeah, but I turn it off here because I get the ball completely stuck. You can see there I just can't get it out of the corner. My power up is following the ball and it's following it into the corner there and it's just stuck. So that's that. That's the end of the video.